Hi guys, it's Blackie for Shaman's Forge Bushcraft. Today I'd like to discuss bush tools with you. Now the reason for this video is I'm on several forums, and on one of the forums there was a gentleman or lady, I'm sorry I don't remember, but one of them asked this question: which should I carry afield? Should it be an axe or a saw? Well, most people answered both. And they both do a good job and both do a very specific job. But there is other considerations whenever you're talking about carrying a saw or carrying an axe. And let me cover them right quick. First off, let me apologize for the wind. I'm trying to keep you in the shade of a tree. Here in South Alabama, we're having one storm front after the other going by. I've been doing it for weeks, so it's kind of hard to get any opportunity to get out when it ain't pouring. It's windy, so please bear with me. Okay, back to if we're talking short term efficiency, the saw is a better choice. Now, the two saws that I carry when I'm out in the field are usually, one second, let me get organized. There we go. Alright, the saw I carry for a bushcraft saw is this. This is a Fisker's pruning saw. You get this from the garden center. It has a solidly locking blade and it's got a pretty good blade to it. Now it's no Baco Laplander, but this thing costs like 12 bucks, 10 bucks. Saws are more efficient than axes at doing small work. When I say small work, I mean like 1, 2, 3 inch size things. I can strain it and sit there and saw and pop it. From a stealth point of view, a saw is also superior because it does not telegraph your position as much as that whack, whack, whack of a tomahawk or an axe does to the surrounding community. So it's quieter to carry and it's more efficient for processing stuff because you can do usually just a good cut on either side and snap it off for making firewood. It has a lot of advantages. It has several disadvantages. First disadvantage: these teeth are very efficient until they become dull. Once they're dull, there is no easy or practical way to sharpen this in the field. Now, how do you know if your saw is dull? Very simple. When you go to cutting, the sawdust coming out of a brand new saw will be big hunks. The more dull the saw becomes, the smaller those become, until finally it's just this powder fine dust where, man, you're working it and you're actually just like a serrated steak knife. You're kind of scratching your way through it rather than cutting. At which point it's non-practical, really. It's not as efficient as a tomahawk. But this doesn't weigh much, it's light, and it's easy to throw into a rucksack. Now, the tomahawk, as I spoke of in my other videos, and this is a cold steel one, is a very good choice for carrying. I think it's a better long-term bush tool. When I say long-term, I'm talking about sustainability. The saw is superior until the saw becomes dull. A tomahawk is superior to a hatchet. And that's because, as I mentioned before, this is my little marble axe. That's a very small, efficient hatchet. Very good for camp jobs. Disadvantage, that little bitty eye. That head is absolutely locked onto that handle. Should this handle become broke, that's going to be a nightmare to clear in the field. I mean, that's a job. And then I got to make another handle that'll fit up in there. Woo! That's going to be tough. So I don't recommend, if you're talking about long term, I don't recommend that you go with any kind of axe or hawk that's going to be difficult to change out the head in the field. That's where a tomahawk excels. This head comes off very easily. One good whack on the handle, it'll slide off. It can still be used as a cutting tool. It can still be used as a scraping tool. It can still be used as a hammering tool. The handle can be fabricated in the field, and this can be sharpened in the field just by finding a river rock or something that is appropriate hardness and sharpening it. Old concrete will work. You know, the saw is superior until it gets dull. Then the hawk becomes superior. Now if you're looking for a real long term, something for a bag or something like that, here's what I recommend. I recommend that you get a Tomahawk. So like I said, long term replaceability. And you're going to have to hunt around on the internet for one of these. And this was my very first video. But I've held on to it because it's such a good piece of kit. This is one of them MXZ saws. I know, hold on, listen, hear me out. It comes with a blade that's got diamond impregnated dust in it. It'll cut just about anything. It doesn't cut anything efficiently or fast, but it will cut just about anything. But what I discovered was this MXZ saw, which you unscrew here to take the blade out. The blade is simply a reciprocating saw blade. That big motor you go and cut nails out of walls and stuff. It's a reciprocating saw blade. The blade is not much bigger than the handle. I carry in here a uniform saw that'll saw wood efficiently, it'll saw light metal, it'll saw etc. It'll saw most stuff. Now, I also carry in my big bag for long term, I carry about a dozen of these blades of various kinds, including pure metal cutting blade like a hacksaw blade. Now, in the woodland environment, I repeat that, in the woodland environment, this is a superior kind of saw. In an urban environment, or where you're going to be scavenging stuff from the edge of an urban environment, this is a better saw. Because it locks into multiple positions. I can lock it in all these positions and use it effectively to harvest resources from damaged, destroyed buildings, cars, whatever. I can cut a hunk of a hood out and use it to make arrowheads with this. This is a superior long-term sustainability saw because replacement blades are available and I can get them. I don't have to worry about sharpening them. They're thin, they're flat, they hardly weigh anything. And in a long-term survival pack, I can throw a dozen of them in there. And they're, what, ½ inch thick by that long? They weigh nothing. And I've got a couple of years worth of saw work I can do out of that. The Baco lamp lantern stuff is a superior saw in the woods. It's superior for being quiet and it's superior for being stealthy. As long as it's sharp. The Hawk is superior in the long term because you can sharpen it in the field. It'll cut anything. And it can be turned into other tools. It can become a scraper, it can become a knife, it can become whatever, and it can be sharpened in the field. And its handle can be replaced in the field. The saw cannot. So, in my humble opinion, my 2 cents worth, for long-term sustainability, I recommend a Tomahawk. And if you have the room for a saw, get something that's got replaceable blades. Blades that can cut metal, wood, bone, whatever. That's my 2 cents worth. Well guys, I'm Blackie for Shaman's Forge Bushcraft. Wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day guys.